So, and I don't know if you guys have been Pentecostal longer, if you are Pentecostal, but it comes with the territory that you have prayer meeting on Tuesdays, church service on Wednesdays, church cleaning on Thursdays, probably some prayer meeting on Fridays, church service on Saturday night, church service on Sunday morning, two nursing home services between morning church and night church, and then repeat. And that's a Pentecostal week. So for those of you guys who didn't know that. So I was in here every chance that the doors were open, I was in here. And I grew up in church, and I grew up under good singing and good preaching, and just the godliest parents that anybody could ask for. But that's not enough. You can't be saved off of your parents' salvation. You can't be saved off of your grandparents' salvation. You have to have your own personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And for a long time, I was your cliche preacher's kid. I was here, and I was one way and my old youth pastors can attest to this. I was one way at church, and I was another way everywhere else I went. And I wasn't a cool guy, but I strived to be. And it didn't work out too well for me, but I tried. And so when I graduated high school, I was, to be honest with you, I was ready to get out of here. I wanted to just go somewhere else and be somewhere else. I didn't want to be in this town. I didn't want to be in this church. I wanted to be off on my own and be away. And so I went into the Marine Corps. And, because I was searching, because I knew that there was something in my life that wasn't fulfilled. A lot of people call it your God hole. And a lot of people will tell you just got to put something in your God hole. Well, it's like trying to put a triangle in a circle. It just doesn't work. Or it's trying to put a square in a circle. It's a God hole because God belongs there. It's not because there's something that needs to be in there. It's because there's one thing that needs to be in your God hole. And that's why it's called a God hole, because God is supposed to be there. And God is the only thing that can fulfill that. When you put a circle in a circle, it fits perfectly. And that's why. And so I searched, I just searched for some kind of fulfillment in my life, and I tried to find it in the Marines, and then I tried to find it in being, and having that Marine Corps lifestyle of just being a jerk is what it comes down to be. But I tried to find it in that lifestyle, and it didn't fulfill me, so I searched for other things, and I got married way too young, and I tried to find it there, and then I didn't find it there. And so after that fell apart, I was trying to drown even more sorrows on top of emptiness. And so it just kind of started to stack up. There was no fulfillment, no satisfaction, and then it was sorrow, and then it was pain and sadness and alone and loneliness, and all these things just kept stacking up like Jenga blocks. You'd pull one out, but it would stay up, And so I turned to alcohol, and I turned to drugs, and I turned to anything. And it started out casually at parties and things like that. And then I just kind of sank more and more into that lifestyle because it gave me that temporary satisfaction of, well, I'm not alone because I've got all these people here around me, and I must not be doing anything too wrong because, there's 13 people behind me doing the exact same thing. And misery loves company. Misery loves company. The devil will never leave you alone in a position with a bottle or with drugs or with brokenness. He'll have someone right there behind you telling you, hey, everything's all right. You're not doing anything wrong. We're right here behind you doing the same thing. And I know everybody's heard that a million times, but it's true when you've been in the center of it. And when you're out, when you step away from that situation and you look in and you kind of diagnose what your problems were, then it just kind of hits on you is that, you just had people pushing you towards that lifestyle, and how God puts people in your path, the devil does the exact same thing. Because you got a tug of war going on. You've got a war going on for your soul and for your eternal life. And if you think that God's the only one pulling, you're completely wrong. And so I just fell, I just fell apart to that lifestyle, and I just fell full-fledged into that lifestyle. And not to get into too much detail, but I worked a job, and there were times where I was alone at that job, and I just got to a point in my life where I think I was 21 years old, and at the time I had a daughter that I wasn't able to see, and I wasn't able to be close to her, and that just broke my heart. And here I was, 21 years old, divorced, 21 years old, on drugs and just drinking my life away and just doing anything I could to be a mess up. And depression just started to sink in, and I wasn't talking to my parents. And when I did, I told them, anytime my mom or dad called, I told them the first things out of my mouth were, if you're going to preach to me, you might as well hang up. And every day I just feel more and more awful for that. But that's what I didn't want. I didn't want their words. I didn't want their church, because it had done nothing for me, because I hadn't submitted to that. I hadn't submitted to God. So church by itself without God in it is just an assembly of people. And that's all it was to me. It was just an assembly of people doing the same thing every other church down the road was. Every Jehovah's Witness, every Muslim, everybody else. You get a lot of people into a room centered around one thing. That's what it was to me. But as different things transpired in my life, I found myself getting ready to go to work one day, and I was just done. I just knew I'd messed my life up so much, and I was just done. And so I had planned to commit suicide that day, and I didn't tell anybody, just acted as cool as could be, didn't leave a note, nothing. And I was going to be the only one there at work, and I was getting ready to do it. And before I could even leave, maybe not even an hour before I could leave to go to work, God sent saving grace in the form of a cop car with sirens my way, and arrested me for possession of marijuana and charges with delivery of marijuana and different things. And I'm not here to just throw out my baggage, but I'm here to say that no matter how far you've fallen, God's still there to reach out a hand. Amen. You can think that you're the lowest one on the totem pole. You can think that you're as far down as could be, and everybody else can tell you you're as far down as could be. But if you've got God on your side, then you're a winner every time. And so I spent a few nights in jail, and I was finally able to get a hold of my mom, which I don't think she showed up till the next day, because she wanted me to sit in there for a little bit. Good mom. And so I got out of jail, and I went over to my mom and dad's house and just tried to sleep off everything that I had going through my system. And I came over to this church I've always been prone to music and loved music, and just been able to, it's the only thing I'm good at, and it's the one thing that I enjoy to do. So I came over here, and I was going to play the piano and play the guitar, and didn't want anything to do with God. Like I said, it was just a building to me. And no more that I could get past that altar, it's like God hit me in the back of the legs with a 2x4, and I just collapsed and just cried and prayed and said, God, I've got to have something real in my life. I got to have something that is changing. I don't want religion. I don't want tradition, routine. I don't want a bunch of people in an assembly meeting around one centered object, one centered understanding, one centered thing. I want something that's real. I want something that is alive inside of me that you can't contain. And that's exactly what God gave me that day. Since I got up from that altar in 2010, August 28th of 2010, God changed my life at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, and I haven't been the same since. Now, I'm not perfect, and I make plenty of mistakes, probably plenty for everybody in this building to each have one. But I can tell you that my life's been changed with God in it, that my life's been completely different with God on my side. Hallelujah. And I've got to do some extraordinary things. And I look back and I talk to my mom sometimes, and I think, man, I can't believe. At one point, I was just so depressed I was going to give up rights to my daughter. And I look back and I think, she's right back there with her grandmother sitting there. And I almost gave all of that up. And my son, he would have never been here for that, and I would have never gotten to do some of the amazing things that God has opened the door for me to do. So all that being said, I can just say I encourage you guys to find your foundation. It's the best advice I can give anybody. If you're here and you're on the fence about anything, plant your feet. Because there's going to be storms coming, and there's going to be things coming around in your life that are going to try to knock you down. But when you have such a firm foundation, you will get back up every time. And God will always be on your side. But I will tell you, God doesn't move. So you can't be stagnant in your relationship with God either. You can't be complacent in your relationship with God. Because a lot of people think, God, where did you go? And He's been the same place every time. It's you that have moved. It's you that have fallen behind. And so I just tell you, just to grow in your relationship with God every chance you get, and to be at events like this where you can be in an assembly of believers, not just an assembly of people together focused on one single thing, but a group of Christ followers, a group of believers that believe in the one true God that we're here to serve. And I'm going to be quiet now, but it's awesome to see all you guys here, and all you women too. It's great to see all you guys here. And thank you for letting me come up here and talk. I appreciate it.